coach T. Carrie Mitchell each month on the Dr. Pat Show. Or visit lifestyle120.com today and start to receive the personal attention you deserve.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Pat. I'm so glad that I'm co-hosting here. I'm introducing all of you to Cultural Brilliance Radio, the DNA of organizational excellence with Claudette Rowley. And here's what I want to say about this. Cultural brilliance is an idea whose time has come. Now, this is something that Claudette has created. It's the way that she works with organizations or she works with teams. She works with individuals to help folks not just show up, but to show up brilliantly and excellently. And throughout the radio series and even beyond, we're going to really look at, tap into, and explore what is the DNA of organizational excellence really made up. Today's show, Cultural Intelligence, the Tapestry of Success, is very, very important because we just gave you an example of an emerging culture, but now we're going to kind of, we're going to get underneath the hood here, Claudette, right?
Absolutely.
Emergent cultures, what does that really mean? And, we just gave an example, but this is not about the tip of the iceberg, is it?
Not at all. This is about going way underneath the water. Yeah. Really starting to look at what's authentic. When we talk about an emergent culture, we're starting to watch for what's surfacing. What's authentic about a culture? What's needed to meet business goals at a pragmatic level? What does the culture need to look like to meet the most important business goals a company has? And so we really start to look at what's the culture we have right now, and what's starting to, through listening to the cultural intelligence, what's actually starting to emerge, what's starting to show up, float to the surface that we haven't seen before. And this definitely requires a fair amount of emotional intelligence, as we've been talking about, understanding authenticity, being able to listen, being able to handle discomfort and really understand what's going on for people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, isn't it interesting that we spend, let's just talk about organizations in general, if we could,
Sure.
Because I know that you have experience both on the inside, as I do, inside and outside, working within the corporate infrastructure, but also working on the outside of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And millions and millions and millions of dollars are spent. And here comes the organization. They are spending this. And what they find is that even after all of the analysis, all of the assessment, when it comes down to it, are people really telling the real deal, right? Are we really getting to the way people not just think, but how about the way they feel?
I think feelings and emotions are in many workplaces are just left completely out of the equation.
Yeah.
There's this old paradigm that if you're at work, you don't have feelings. You don't have emotions if you're at work. Listen, we're human. We do. And we also know that there's tons and tons and tons of research, brain research, neuroscience research that talks about that our emotions are really driving a lot of what we do during the day, how we make decisions, what we're saying, what we're doing, how we prioritize things. And so if we're not aware of it, if we're not connected to our emotions, we're not accessing the totality of who we are. And I think a lot of organizations miss that.
Yeah.
Even to the point of not even honoring positive emotions.
Right.
Let alone the tougher emotions.
Right. I was just going to ask you about that. It's not always about talking about all of the things that go wrong, but you're right. Some organizations, by the way, have even stopped calling people out like, having like these little celebrations for best idea. It's like, no, everybody's a winner. Everybody gets a trophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
As if people don't really understand what the dynamic of that is. But, culture has taken a backseat for a really long time, especially a backseat to strategy. Everybody's strategy, strategy, strategy. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that when we look at organizations and we look at employees, one of the things I like to do is ask people how they like to be appreciated. Mm. So when I'm working with leaders, I'm working with managers, at almost anything I'm training on, whether it's on culture or it's how to be a great leader, whatever the topic is, we almost always talk about asking people how they want to be appreciated, asking people how they want to receive feedback. Because we often, just because we're human, we'll give feedback or appreciate people the way we like to receive feedback or the way we like to be appreciated as individuals. We need to ask people. And that's a simple, easy way to bring more positivity and positive emotion back into an organization. Appreciate people and give them feedback in a way that really works for them. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. One of the things that organizations sometimes do is they won't really listen to people, but they'll say, let's celebrate this win. Let's have, everybody, whenever it's your birthday, we'll have a cake for you, things like that, which is really great. People start to object to that when they feel it's inauthentic, back to authenticity as we talked about before.
Yeah.
And they feel that, oh, well, you're celebrating us, but you're not listening to all the issues we have and the concerns we have. So then they don't really like the celebration because it's not real. So you have to be telling the truth and listening for those celebrations to work.
Yeah. Now, I know that there's a Peter Drucker quote that is very near and dear to you.
That's true.
And me too.
Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yeah, I love this quote because it so succinctly articulates what is really true. We look at cultural dynamics in organizations. You can go through strategy all you want. If you haven't handled the cultural aspect of it, the culture will continue to drive everything that you're doing, and the strategy will just be left behind. So you really need to look at culture when you're designing a strategy and either make sure the strategy matches the culture or you shift the culture to support the new strategy.
One of the things I'm really acutely aware of is this idea of emergent cultures. And what I'm aware of about this is that, prior to, talking about this in this segment, we talked about tapping into the cultural intelligence and listening up. And I think right now I'm really struck by, if you're not doing those first two things, then I'm not even sure how you can see what's emerging, or how you can look at, the opportunities to harness what's emerging, right? Isn't this a dynamic that we have to be constantly reminded of? Otherwise, it's really easy to shut our eyes around things. I mean, I don't think you're saying that this is the easiest conversation to have in an organization, are you?
No, it's definitely not the easiest conversation to have. I would agree with that. And I also, if you're not understanding and tapping into your cultural intelligence and you're not listening up, you aren't going to be able to notice what's emerging. You're not going to have the eyes to see it. It's not always the easiest conversation, which is why some leaders shy away from it, because they're going to hear. So leaders can't know everything about their culture. There's no way, because there's lots of places they aren't in on a day-to-day basis, and nor should they be in an organization. So then they just have to have a conversation with, different managers throughout the organization, middle managers, people in the field, people in the front lines, whatever kind of industry it is. And they need to really understand what these people have to say about the culture. So they're inherently going to hear some things they may not want to hear. So it's not always easy.
Yeah. But, doesn't your model, what you've created here in Cultural Brilliance, doesn't this really give people a blueprint for having a bigger conversation, and not just a bigger conversation, because listen, you have a full organizational approach for this. We're talking about things that you've designed a methodology to handle, and the radio series is going to really do that for us, right? But you also, by taking this approach, you're not just looking at one or two people at the top, are you?
Absolutely not. No, we would be this approach, what's inherent in this approach, one of the big values of this particular cultural brilliance approach is that people at all levels of the organization are involved in understanding culture and understanding and designing what might need to change or shift in a culture, and then how to integrate it so this a particular organizational culture becomes a brilliant culture. Absolutely. So we want as many people involved as it makes sense. So it's not just the leaders. No.
Wow. Well, we're going to take a short break because when we come back, we've got a question that came in from one of our fabulous listeners. We're going to be talking about that. And then tapestry. Yeah, of course. But what does it mean to weave your culture? What does that mean? Weave your culture. Well, Claudette is going to tackle that, as well as we're going to provide our fabulous listener, Karen, with the answer to her question. We'll be right back, everyone. Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers, with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com.
Get into it for 2016. Do you want more prosperity, clarity, energy, and balance in your life? Join Lynn Brown now for one of her amazing workshops, each focusing on a key part of living your best life. For more information and to register for one of these amazing workshops, visit lynnbrownevent.com. That's lynnbrownevent.com. And get into it this 2016 with Lynn Brown.
What is a brilliant culture and how do we create them? Why are they important? Claudette Rowley has created a breakthrough 5-step process to help you design a culture that thrives. Whether you want to increase your business's success or create a more engaged, unified workforce, Claudette can help. We cannot thrive in a toxic environment. Learn how to create change with cultural brilliance and Claudette Rowley. To learn more or to work with Claudette, visit ClaudetteRowley.com.
Are you ready to stop stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem from running your life? Join award-winning author Dr. Friedemann Schaub for Empowerment Radio and learn breakthrough solutions to switch out of survival mode and approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in the first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific to Empowerment Radio with host Dr. Friedemann Schaub on Transformation Talk Radio. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com to learn more.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's so great. Claudette Rowley here joining me today, Cultural Brilliance Radio, the DNA of organizational excellence. Karen, thank you for your question. Before we jump into that, and I think your questions, comments are directly related to what we're about to talk about. Weave your culture. But before we do, Claudette, one more time, how can folks find out more about you? How can they contact you directly? Let's just make sure we're putting that out there for folks.
Great. Thanks, Pat. So my website is ClaudetteRowley.com, and Rowley is ROWLEY, ClaudetteRowley.com. And direct line to me is 781-538-6616.
Awesome. So we're going to be talking about Weave Your Culture now. And Karen, thank you so much for your questions. And we're going to try to get this here